This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the Absolute Radio website. We were just talking about if Annie the musical had been set in the private sector, how it might have been different. Gonna do the song? Go on, Em. Go on.
It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us.
No, it's for them.
Oh dear.
Oh my goodness. I love Annie. It is the greatest of the musicals, I think. There aren't many dramas, anything, that have a really passionate, sympathetic representation of a multimillionaire. And that's what I like about it.
This is the kind of stuff we talk about before we go on.
Yeah, on that subject.
Start with the hard-hitting stuff today.
What would Annie be like in the private sector?
On that...
8, 12, 15.
Easy Street, we live in... it's... What's it? Yes, I've been... I'll tell you what's happened to me. I know we're not supposed to plug other radio stations, but in my car I've started listening to... Magic at the Musicals. Have you heard that?
Have you?
Wow.
Oh, man, it's very fine indeed.
That's quite
When you're a jet, as I drove in this morning. When you're a jet. I was chewing gum that I didn't even have in my mouth as I listened to it. Anyway, enough of this. I want to run something by you guys. Morning, Alan
Business
and Emily, obviously.
Morning.
I want to ask you, because I feel you two dwell more in the real world than I do.
Wow.
Yep. Keeping it real.
I've, especially during the lockdown era, I have taken to using Amazon quite a lot. Now, I know there are, I don't know what, but there's people have got problems with, well, every major company is evil, apparently. But anyway, I just like the cardboard around the house.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the thing. It was my son's birthday last Sunday. He was 9, and I bought him a Iron Man outfit. You've got to have one.
Okay.
Yeah? And when we took it out, I'd gone for the nicer of the three available. I'll be straight with you.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to skimp on the Iron Man.
Good lad, you've worked for it.
Yeah, and I took the Tony Stark approach, go for the best. So we got it out the bag, and he was running around the house in it, but he was holding his hand to his chin, like thoughtful Iron Man, considering something. I said, why are you doing that? And he said, there's no elastic on the mask. I said, well, that's no good at these prices. So I, open brackets, meaning my PA, close brackets, phoned or emailed Amazon.
I was going to say, I don't think... Hello, Amazon.
Hello, Amazon. So anyway...
Phoned Amazon.
So anyway, emailed and said there's no elastic on my Iron Man mask. Now, is this... What I'm trying to get from you two, is this good customer services or bad customer services, what I got back? I got an email with
They say, do you live alone, sir?
with a link to... well, first of all, let me get this right. I got a £5 refund on the Iron Man thing with a link to a $3.99 spool of elastic available on Amazon. Now, is that how it's supposed to work, customer service? It's some sort of crazy DIY approach. Have you ever
All I
heard
can
of
think
such
is that if you get that, you're a pound up.
Well, a pound and a penny, Al. That's not like
Yeah, you get some change.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got to do craft.
Yeah,
I didn't think there'd be a craft element.
I mean,
When
it's
you
a
actually
bit like...
factor in an hourly rate.
Also, Al, if I ordered a feather boa,
Yeah,
let's say I was doing my Hey Big Spender routine,
again.
Cool.
yeah, and they just gave me a piece of string
Yeah, and
and then a link to a feather.
a link to
website.
Bernard Matthews' turkey farm.
Yeah.
And so make it yourself. That'd be absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to know what what people think about this. I'd also like to know your best or worst customer services experience, because I've got to try and work out where I am on the scale here.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So I have, I don't know why, but I've posted a picture of me holding up the actual elastic that Amazon guided me to. They didn't send me the elastic, remember? They sent me a link to the elastic. So I had to action that as well.
What I like is that you got somebody else to email them, and you also got somebody else to put up the picture for you. There's quite a lot of catering to you being done here.
I drove in the elastic.
That was brave, Al.
photo.
Al, I've just seen the elastic. I don't want to boast, but IRL. And
In real life.
Yeah.
Good use of
Can I be
IRL.
honest,
Love it.
Frank?
Go on.
It was a sorry affair.
Well, it's...
Listen, don't take it personally. You've done really well given the circs, but it's very thick, the elastic.
Yeah, but I think you need thick for an Iron Man mask. Remember, there's quite a lot of action involved. What worries me is I think I'm going to have to put a stitch in it. And I don't mean my PA, I mean me personally. I'm going to have to thread a needle and put a stitch in the damn thing. I mean, Tony Stark... presses a button and it all happens. But, I'm afraid on the shop floor, things are a bit different.
You don't see Tony Stark having to send emails to Amazon asking for elastic, do you?
Well, he'd just think email and it would happen. That's probably something that's in one of his neuro things.
What's his superpower then? Is he strong?
No, he's rich.
He's rich.
Is that his superpower?
Iron Man and Batman.
It's a hard knock life for him.
Iron Man is Marvel Comics, rich bloke, and Batman is DC Comics, rich bloke. And it's so there's hope for us all. If you work hard, it's the American dream. Work hard, get rich. You too can be a superhero.
Yeah.
Remember that,
You can buy your way in. You can buy your way
I
in.
thought he was a neat freak, and I rather like the sound of him.
But I genuinely like to know what you got. Do you think that's good customer service or bad customer service?
Al? I mean, I have a view on this, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's towards the negative side. I don't know if
It's
fully.
stretching it a bit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't get your knickers in a twist.
I thought they'd say, send the outfit back, we'll send you on with elastic, or send the mask back, we'll set you back. But not, here's a tip, try this elastic.
Can I tell you what it is? I think they've tried, but it would make me lose some faith in the product and the company.
I suppose in a way it's made me see Amazon as a bit less of a gargantuan colossus impersonal company. If there's a bloke in an office somewhere saying, try elastic. It sounds, I imagine it would all be...
in a way.
I thought there'd be robots doing it.
I agree. It feels a bit make, do and mend.
Yeah.
It's a bit Hamforth Parish Council meeting. I imagine they had a meeting about it. We've got a 2 p.m. about the Frank Skinner Iron Man mask. I think there was a meeting.
But I mean, what's then when I complain about my Apple Pencil, are they going to refer me to various electrical circuits? A welding. I have to get a welding iron at home.
Oh, have you heard his Amazon pronunciation? It's quite good.
Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it? You're always picking me up on my pronunciations.
Oh.
Taint fair, Mr. Holmes.
I like it.
What do you call them?
It makes me think of the rainforest when you say it, rather than...
What is that? What is named
Will you
after?
call it
I think it is,
Amazon? What do you say, Al?
I say Amazon, but Frank says Amazon.
What do you say? Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. Like Wonder Woman.
You say it like you're naming a new land or something.
Well, in a way. Now I'm starting elasticating things. Who knows where it'll end?
Oh, dear.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some customer feedback anecdotes.
Oh,
We
good.
have.
Frank.
Good.
653 has texted. I'm going to slightly edit the name of the toy shop out.
Yes.
Frank, Emily and Alan, on customer service, my mate Neil did his GCSE work experience at the customer service department of a major toy shop, I'm going to say.
Okay, good work.
In the 90s. He spent his week telling people they would send them £100 gift voucher in the post to anyone that complained, no matter what the problem was. And there were lots of happy people. I wonder what came of it in the next few weeks after he went back to school.
Oh,
Perhaps
so he was lying.
Yes.
Oh, no.
And I believe they went under a few weeks later, according to this. But I thought they were still around, actually. But who knows?
I don't know, because I don't know who they are.
Oh, we don't know.
That's one of the joys of customer service. It's lying.
Are they hyphenated in any way?
Hyphenated twice, perhaps.
Anyway, we don't know. Let's not go into.
Can we? I'd also like to share out John Hopkins, who's one of our regulars, has been in touch. Morning all.
Hopper.
Could work, I suppose. Morning all. My wife complained about the viscosity of some mascara. Yes, it's the thing.
Okay.
That she'd bought from an online clothing accoutrement.
I don't know
company.
what viscosity is. That how thick it is?
It's the thickness.
Okay, yeah.
As a way of apology, they sent her a free shoehorn.
That's good for getting our eyelids open.
Yeah. How thick was it?
We've also had...
I love a shoehorn.
Some people have sent us pictures of irons. Ian Stewart Dootson saying this was Amazon's original idea, and a picture of a Russell Hobbs Supreme Steam traditional iron in reference to the Iron Man mask.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Very good.
And Josh Jeffrey has said, I tell you what, if I look that
George Jeffries?
Josh Jeffrey.
Okay.
I tell you what, of the picture of you, Frank, if I look that good when I'm 64, I will be delighted.
Well, I think you'll be fine. You'll rent a cottage in the Isle of Wight if it's not too dear. You will scrimp and say, oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you to all my fans out there.
There's only one.
You, Steve. It's you, Steve.
You tell him.
I'll tell you what I did this week. What about this for a crazy activity? I went to the cinema.
Oh,
I'd almost forgotten what that was like.
What did you see?
I saw, I might get the title wrong, Raya and the Last Dragon.
Never heard of it.
No, it's a beautiful Disney animation.
Oh,
One of those. It's like a work of art.
Right.
And the message, there's a big message in it about trust everyone, no matter how untrustworthy they may seem. The direct opposite of what I've taught my child throughout his life.
Yeah.
Especially in reference to old man Baxter at number 31. But you're
in Hampstead now, dear.
It's a nice idea.
Okay.
And you have to wear a mask and that, but it was not. I'm okay with a mask now.
Who's
To be honest, we've had a couple of friends for years who haven't got the freshest breath in the world, and it's enabled me to get closer to them both physically and spiritually.
Oh, you're not just okay with a mask. You provide guests with elastic for the mask.
Oh, that's true. Maybe I can get some heavy-duty masks made of leather.
No, that's...
Okay. You could wear an Iron Man mask, couldn't you, on public transport, say?
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah?
If you didn't value your dignity.
Well, I value it, but it depends on which area.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
And James in Devon has pointed out, Frank, there is a specialist area of the internet for leather masks. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. I'm sure there are. I've seen some just around here, actually. You can still get gas masks over the counter locally. Yeah. I don't know if they're for gas.
No.
I tell you, the thing is, with being back in the cinema, everybody said to me, how lovely to experience. Everyone I've told said, oh, how great. It's somewhat special about going to the cinema. It's not like watching at home. And the cinema I went to was one of those where you sit on a sofa and they bring you pizza and stuff. And I thought, it's not that different from stopping in. And what they've done is they've made those cinemas as much like stopping in and watching the telly as is possible. I don't know if that's a good thing to plant in the audience.
Good point.
And the other, I did a face-to-face interview, no Zoom, no masks.
Where was the interview?
It was in Belsize Park, which is area of North London. You'll be familiar.
No, but was
with.
it in a cafe?
It was in a cafe.
Okay.
Oh.
And me and David Baddiel it was. So we met. He came to my house and we walked to this. And we were interviewed by a couple of old friends of ours that we worked with on fantasy football.
Was it a podcast?
No, it was a
Do you
radio.
like my Lady Bracknell? A podcast, Algernon?
It was a radio interview. But as you know, everyone who works in radio wants to be in television. And more and more now, you do a radio thing and they've got like a camera or what I would call, I don't know if you still use the term camcorder, but at least a camcorder. Yeah.
Judging by the amount of laughter coming out of the producer, I'm not sure if you do.
Well, anyway, so I got there, me and Dave turned up. There were 3 cameras, proper like, big cameras pointed at this thing. So I said, I thought this was a radio interview. And they said, yeah, we're also putting it on our YouTube channel. I said, well, no, I'm not doing it.
You did.
Did you? It was a bit awkward.
Good lad.
Yes, I would say it would be awkward.
Like
and I said, no.
Yeah, but if you've agreed to radio and then it's actually television, I
didn't think that was right.
It's like a media version of the bus replacement train service.
Exactly.
So, can I just fill a little bit of Schadenfreude for those people?
Yeah.
Okay, that was lovely. And then what happened? So how did they? What did David say? Is David's quite good at smoothing things over?
Oh, he was brilliant. He was saying, "Oh, I don't mind it." Thanks.
Solidarity, comrade.
Yeah, exactly. We're all in this together. So I said, well, I do mind it, and it's not fair. I think I'm not doing it. They bought David a cup of coffee and a piece of chocolate cake, and I said that cake looks nice, and they got me a fork. So I could have some of that.
So hang on, can we just establish what happened? David did the interview and you sat in the corner refusing.
No. Don't write me off as a refuse-nick, as a complete refuse-nick. I was affronted that I felt I'd been tricked, and well, I'll tell you what happens next after this.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
May I share this with you from Groovy J?
What, from Ninjago?
From Groovy J.
Okay.
I was in Morrison's once and 2 checkout assistants in adjacent checkouts were chatting to each other and one complained, "We never get any decent-looking blokes in here," whilst she was serving me.
Oh, wow.
I love you, Groovy J.
She'd obviously checked him out.
Oh.
I mean... So we're in this situation where...
we're in a definite type of situation, it's fair to say.
It's a bit awkward.
Can we just say, Cluedo style, we're in the cafe with the Reverend David Baddiel.
Dave's sitting in front of 3 cameras. I'm standing to one side.
Because you've said, look, I was going to do a radio interview.
It's a radio interview.
And you're filming me.
I'm Team Frank. It feels like you could have turned up and they've said, "Oh, actually, we're going to do an essay as well."
Yeah, actually,
you're changing the territory.
We're hoping you can tell your story in modern interpretive dance. Here's some lycra, and you can get changed behind the bar. I don't think so.
Then you're in some sort of Louis Spence figure.
So one of them said, "Do you?" I said, "Coffee, Kate, lovely." And he said, "Do you want a drink?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm staying." It's all a bit... Anyway...
I feel sick.
It's interesting because... well, never mind.
No, I do mind.
So the producer said, well, OK, we'll turn the cameras off. And I said, yeah, right. And she said, we've got to keep them on for the sound. And I said, well, can you turn them around? She said, well, we'll put the lens caps on. I said, OK, right. put the lens caps on. I mean, in direct contravention of what I'd learned from Raya and The Last Dragon, who said, trust everyone. Even though I wasn't having it. So it went on, and Emily was just saying to me that most people, the average person, has gained 11 pounds during lockdown. I like to think I haven't changed that much. No, but again, I know it is. There is a gay element to this, but I do feel that that's what's made me a geek. These people have created a monster.
Well, I would say, okay, I think in your favour, in defence of you...
Thanks.
I would say...
I'm going to get some music when you get to the bot at the end of the defence of me.
You know I will. You know I will.
Go on.
I think there's a cleanness to that level of honesty. It's unpleasant in the moment, but the elastoplaster's ripped off, and there's no doubt. We all know where we stand, which is great, but...
Well, before you say this, can I say, I've become quite a champion of radio, despite being snobbed by the Arias. And the British Podcast Awards, if we're going to bring that up.
Oh, they always snub me,
but
those people.
And I think, be proud of the fact, radio's got a lovely, rich, intimate, verbal thing going on. Be proud of that. Don't feel you got to film it and send photos of somebody holding elastic on social media in case the viewers don't know what the listeners... See, I'm calling them viewers, that's where we've gone to. They don't know what elastic is. It's like in local paper. I remember in my local paper, when I was a kid, there was a bloke leaving a company that made metal tubes. He was retiring. And they had this story. It's a clear enough story, man retiring from a company that makes metal tubes. They had a picture of him holding a carriage clock, the traditional retirement gift, in one hand, a metal tube in the other. And he's outside the factory, were all his colleagues waving. And I thought, I got the story. You don't have to give me the visuals. So if you're in radio, be loud and proud. That's all I'm saying.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Many have. We'll be reading some out soon. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, and email the show via the... No, not and. Don't do or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. We don't want a triple threat.
Speak for yourself. 878 has got in touch.
Uh-huh.
Morning, Frank. Just wondering how Frank marked the feast day of St. Bede the Venerable last Tuesday.
Well, I did note it. I did.
You have St. Bede the Venerable alert, I believe.
I put a little word in for Bede in my daily communication, certainly. Yeah, I was excited to see Bede's.
Oh, can you request shout-outs? Can I have one?
Yeah. I think you have been included in the past.
Oh, well, I never have.
Well, it's a funny old world.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the cafe, Frank.
Well, look, I did the interview. The cameras were switched off. I did the interview. I absolutely gave it my best shot. I even tried to defuse what I must admit was something of a tension. But I told an anecdote I gesticulated quite a lot, and I said, "Oh God, I'm really going for this. If only this was on camera." And I thought that will rub
their noses in it.
And then someone said, "Oh yeah, hoisted by your own petard." And I thought, no, it was it. I left
it. Knowing humour.
Yeah, exactly. It was me acknowledging the sort of. Not.
They might have interpreted it as what we now call trolling.
Yeah.
How did hoisted by your own petard land with you?
Well, by then I was on the roll. I couldn't be bothered anymore. And also, it was that was from one of the interviewers who is an old friend of mine. I forgave him.
Okay.
That. And then at the end of it ended, and there was very little in the way of thank you very much. Well, Dave got hogs. I think there was ticker tape for Dave. Which, in cartoons when it rains on one person, that's what the ticker tape was on. That was on Dave. Dave got all the thank yous.
And you had a
one of those
cartoon. rainstorm over your head. Right?
Exactly. But, I absolutely delivered, if I say so, I shouldn't. But it was orally and not visually. That was the thing. And then a group of people gathered, several people. And I thought, why are they here? Have they sent for, like, security? Am I going to be menaced? And David Baddiel, you will know, has written a book called Jews Don't Count, which I have to say is a really excellent read. And there was a queue of people with that book, as if it was a book signing.
Oh, excellent.
So at the end of the day, the git lost out because I had to sit there while people queued up and didn't even... I don't think they even noticed I was there.
They did, Frank.
No, they did. They just said, "Oh, this is such a great book. I love this so much." Who's that old man you're with?
Who's that old man saying to the crew, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, I wasn't actually.
Who's that guy checking the tapes?
But I promised that at the interview I did the interview, so that's it's all right.
That's your story.
Okay.
Sticking to it.
By the way, before we go to the outside world, I told you it was my son's birthday. My partner, Kath, decorated a cake for him because I think on the 9-year-old's cake market, not many are asking for Alice Cooper, which is Bozzy's current fave. And so Kath did an Alice Cooper cake. It was brilliant. Just the eyes, which is enough with Alice. In fact, I might post. I actually think I will post a picture of that because it is worth seeing. But it made me think, and I thought it'd be interesting for people. There are some celebrities who you can do quite easily at a costume party. Do you know what I mean? Like Halloween or whatever it is. You couldn't do me. Where would you begin? To do me. How would you do George Clooney? How would you do, but there are some people, I think I could perhaps do Russell Brand, for example, if I haired up a bit.
Yeah.
And open my shirt to the waist and all that. I got long hair beads. But there aren't many. And Alice Cooper, I think, fits in that. So,
Benny Hill.
I don't know. Benny Hill, if you wore the beret and spectacles...
Yeah, you're off.
Benny Hill, but you couldn't do Benny Hill in a floral shirt and matching tie, 70s suit. No one would get it. It's tricky.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We wear who outside world. That's what we were going to do. What has been said to us?
Well, as you know, we now have a recurring theme of previously on this show.
Yes.
Like when there's a second episode of something, and we were talking a little while ago about biggest childhood disappointments. I can't remember how it came up. Oh, it was your son ripping down the Harry Kane posters, wasn't it?
It was,
yes.
It was hearing that he didn't rip them down, but he carefully took them all down off his wall about 3 minutes after Harry Kane put in a transfer request.
He wasn't angry, just disappointed.
He was crying. He's actually crying.
I'm an adult man who thinks that he's well adjusted, but I still occasionally have a flashback to when I was a child waking up the next day and my mum said, "Oh, the Incredible Hulk was on the telly last night. I nearly woke you up to watch it, but I thought you were already asleep." I mean, crushing, isn't it?
Yes, I mean you don't want to miss the Incredible Hulk.
Well, Zoe Jasmine Riley has tweeted, "Not getting my figure skating badge when my cousin did. I threw a tantrum." That doesn't sound nice, does it?
That sounds like... What's that? What's the famous rivalry in figure skating when Tanya Harding,
I believe it was Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding.
Tonya Harding, yeah.
Very good film called I, Tonya on that.
Yes.
Well
I thoroughly recommend.
I watched, get this, I'll tell you what I watched the other day for pleasure. I watched the Torvill and Dean Olympic Ravel's Bolero thing.
How did it stand out?
I'll tell you what, if you ever just want one moment of what it feels like to have cracked it. So that moment when you know you've done the job in life, and it could be a small thing, could be a big thing, but that moment when you think, yes, I did that. At the end, they fall onto the ice.
And the music swells.
Yeah, and they lie there and she's reaching out and the camera is right at ice level and you can see her face and she's doing this dramatic look. And then there's a moment where she just comes out of it and you think, that moment you must have thought, did it perfectly. Oh, man, it's great.
Brilliant.
Yes. It's really
that
great.
Sounds good.
Wasn't Michael Crawford involved with them, I believe? Got into a little bit of trouble.
Michael?
Yeah, I think there was loads of jeopardy on his journey to watch it.
He was involved in the choreography or something.
Was he?
No, I think he went there on rollerblades on the back of a bus.
He did, I'm sure he did.
I was looking at it because I thought, well, I'm back on tour soon and I've got to get back to where I was as far as stand-up is concerned. It's been 18 months. I'm rusty. I've got to get there. And if you remember, they did it. There was like a 20th anniversary thing, or 30th maybe, of that Olympics. And they went and did it again. And it was still brilliant.
Box fresh.
So I compared it with that.
Did you?
And of course, I also will get
May I ask a personal question?
Bit of a lie down at the end.
I find it interesting timing that you chose to watch that. Britain's probably our greatest, arguably, sporting triumph.
Well,
a few, in terms of clean sweeps, immediately after our performance in the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, yes.
Okay, were the two linked, is all I'm saying?
No, I actually watched it before that. I thought, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say what I thought. Let's put it this way, I wasn't outraged at our treatment.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about, we just got onto Eurovision. I don't know how. What I would say about the whole thing is I thought the German guy should also have got 0.
Oh, what were they doing?
But there was a brilliant thing which I love so much, and maybe this is a visual thing, but I will try and do it in word pictures for you all.
Yeah.
The Switzerland guy, who was this very lovable fella with an 80s haircut, and when they had the end of the judges voting, he was ahead and he was smiling and he had that real, you know, when people are looking at camera going, I'm not worthy, oh God, thank you. And he was going, thank you so much. And he was like, oh, what a sweet, lovely guy. And he was going to cry. He was humble. He didn't deserve all these points. Thank you. And I thought, wow, what a nice man. And then they started having the public voting, and suddenly Italy got like 431 votes, and he dropped down a bit. And man, Dr. Jekyll.
Did you see it?
He suddenly... We could see, well, what did I know about it? It was a magnificent, and he'd forgotten he didn't care about the cameras. Let him see what a nasty piece of work he truly... And he honestly looked like he was going to rip someone's throat out. It was a brilliant...
Oh, do you know, I might go back and have a look at that as a special treat.
Splendid.
My little insight into...
From Boy Next Door to Boy Next Door if you're in Broadmoor. It went in one flip. It was great.
I always like a glimpse of the heart of darkness. And can I say, whilst we're on the subject of Italy, Måneskin,
Oh, yes.
I believe they're called, which is a Danish word, not Italian. For, do you know what it means, boys?
No.
Moonlight.
Okay.
I was very interested in the sartorial choices of Italy. You may have known, what they were going for is a sort of leather dungaree with exposed
It had a Freddie Mercury feel to it.
Freddie Mercury, but also a bit Minions.
Yeah.
The dungaree sans top is a Minions
they have
thing.
no top.
Yeah, it's just a naked torso, like the Minions, except they're yellow tone, and then the dungaree.
Yeah,
the first thing I thought when you said leather dungarees was hairdressers. That would be good for a hairdresser, wouldn't it? It doesn't stick.
My hairdresser does wear those on his Saturday nights.
I was in a... what was it? I think it was some posh... Versace, a Versace shop in Milan. And I tried on a pair of leather. I tried on some leather dungarees.
Is this a dream?
Sorry, can we just start from the very beginning? I was in Versace in Milan and tried on leather dungarees.
I was filming for the travel show. And if you take the core of this, it's acceptable. I was there to see Milan play Roma in football.
Yeah, it's not explaining this behaviour any further.
But while we were there, they shot me doing various things. And I tried these leather dungarees and I looked like I was going fishing, fly fishing. That's what they didn't look at all cool or trendy on me. But the man in the shop was very nice. I
thought poor James Newman, he did, he gave it his best and it was a perfectly pleasant song. He seems a lovely chap. I think the problem, when we're talking of leather, was he went for a tunic. It was a sort of medieval leather tunic, long-sleeve tunic. But did
he sing out of tunic?
Fair, that's excellent. Let's leave it then. We're not going to follow that.
Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Here's the thing, and I can't even explain my behaviour in this story. But I was taking my son...
Well, I'm already on the hook for this story.
No, it's not.
I would very much read the book I Can't Even Explain My Behaviour in This Story by Frank Skinner.
It's not as good as it sounds, but I was taking my son to school, and where I live, and I don't know if this is a national phenomenon, but we might find out from our readers, that people put stuff out at the front of their house that they no longer want.
David Baddiel has done it on your street.
Has he really?
I took a photo of it once. I don't know why.
I recently collected a book that I thought Frank Skinner might be interested in exactly such a circumstance. It was a history book about the Picts and the Celts.
Oh, that sounds good.
Doesn't it?
But I don't think I've ever seen a book outside a house when it hasn't been raining.
No. David Baddiel had... I'll have to find a picture. There were various DVDs.
Okay.
There was a selection of them.
Anyway, it's a thing. My friend Joan Bakewell actually bought a bookcase from IKEA or wherever, so she could put stuff out on that and keep it stocked up when she was moving house. Fantastic. Anyway, there was a cardboard box and it said, "Please help yourself" on it, and it was full of New Yorker magazines. I mean, like good. About 50. Now, I love New Yorker magazine, but I don't know, to subscribe to it seems like, I don't know. Maybe.
An indulgence too far.
An indulgence. But I just have an image of myself sitting, not maybe with both feet up, with one foot up and one on the ground, reading the New York. I suppose in my idealised view of myself, I'm the piano-playing father from 101 Dalmatians. That's who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I thought, look at those. Imagine sitting next to a big pile of New Yorkers and flicking through a bit of fiction, a review, a funny cartoon. So I thought, I didn't pick them up because I was taking Buzz to school, but I never normally walk back the same way, but I thought I'm going to walk back and I'm going to pick up those New Yorkers. And I walked back and I got incredibly anxious about the whole thing, about picking them up, and I just walked straight past them and left them.
Frank.
So why didn't I grab the New York?
Why didn't you?
What was my problem? Yeah. And now they've gone, of course. They've gone. Someone else's.
Good idea for a text in. What's Frank's problem?
Yeah,
8, 12, 15.
Why didn't I grab the New Yorkers? What's wrong
You let
with
the fear of others' judgment.
But there was no one around. It just felt like a big thing to do.
What I find extraordinary, Al, yes, I'm going to pretend he's not here, is that our dear friend will balk over picking up a few old magazines which have been abandoned in the street.
And have a sign that says, please help yourself.
Happily try on leather dungarees in Versace Milano and say to a crew, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's complicated. In fact, it was the same please help yourself sign that I got from Amazon.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
245 has got in touch. I like this, Al, a lot. The Italian Eurovision entry had a silver necklace that said annoying. How fantastic.
It said annoying.
I want that. I ordered one whilst watching. It arrived yesterday.
Wow.
I'm wearing it now.
Wow, but there was no chain on it, but Amazon have sent me a link to an anchor chain which I can cut up at home.
I'm going to order the annoying necklace 245.
That sounds... Does it say
That
annoying in
sounds good,
English
yeah.
or in Italian?
Oh, yeah, 245, if you could let us know. Because the great thing is, what I love, it's rather what the comic does, is I'll highlight my flaws before you do. Thank you. Thank you
I
very
always
much.
say that about me
Maybe
pelvics.
I should get a necklace saying difficult. Frank should
Frank,
get
what would
one
you
saying
get?
radio only.
Yeah, but that's... I think I've already been stamped
No
with that
video.
by society.
I think we've all got that.
Oh, well, you know, I'm doing mends, as they say at Amazon.
Hey Emily, what do you think of this? I just tried to give Frank some armchair cognitive behavioural therapy about his difficulty with the New Yorker magazines that he got anxious and didn't pick up for free, even though there's a sign saying
Oh, don't.
free.
You don't know how much
No,
it
I'm just
really
saying-
upsets me that
I'm
I
trying
have
to recap it for
I know, but
anybody that's just tuning in. I'm not
it
trying
hurts.
to, rub salt
I know
in
you're
the
not
wound.
trying to, but as a side effect, it hurts, Al.
Yeah.
So I suggested to Frank maybe he should just spend some of his hard-earned money. He's worth a few quid. He could just pop on eBay and buy like a job lot of New Yorker magazines, and then he'd have them and he'd have fixed the anxiety. But I think
What
there's
does he
some
say?
issue.
Well, the problem is with that is whatever I paid for them, even if I got them for a song, as they say, as I read them, my enjoyment of them be undermined by the fact that I knew I could have got them free.
Oh, you two and your money.
No, but it's not
honestly.
about that. It's about, we've said before on
It
here,
is about
free
that.
things are so lovely. There was a box. I bet there was 50 New Yorkers in there.
See, that would put me off that it was
Wow.
free. I'm sorry,
Would
but
it?
it would. Yes,
There's a
it
theory.
would.
There's a theory about that in comedy that if you don't charge the audience, they come in free. They won't laugh as much.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, they're not invested.
As many a highfalutin shop assistant will tell you.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. How much are those leather trousers you nearly bought in Versace Milan?
Ooh,
Oh,
I
this
did.
one's not
Cost
going
a
anywhere,
pretty
my
penny.
friend.
I did that when I came out. We were in that
Dungarees or trousers?
shop. No, they were dungarees.
Like the ones...
And they were voluminous as well, really baggy. I think if I'd have just slipped the straps down to off my shoulders, I think I could have arguably leapt out of them at a single bound. That's how loose fitting they were.
Were they similar to the ones Damiano David wore on Eurovision?
Which one?
He's the Måneskin lead singer.
No, they were much, much more voluminous, much baggier than that.
I think they were more like Hale and Pace would wear for a corporate.
You know when people sell ice cream at the cinema and they have the tray around their, like hanging down at their waist level? I could have had one of those on inside the leather dungarees.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Okay, KJ,
Yeah?
how would you pronounce that? Because it's a useful... Okay.
KJ.
Whichever way Frank does it, Al, is not the way, basically. KJ. KJ?
KJ.
Okay, KJ.
I'm not sure there are that many ways to pronounce KJ.
No, exactly.
Oh, have you met Frank Skinner, Al? He's managed to say Amazon.
So KJ.
Got a
It's
free...
not Keith Joseph, the former Tory
Is it Health
MP.
Secretary? I doubt it somehow.
Okay.
Got a free suite for a weekend at a posh hotel after we complained. During our original stay, we'd been given the key to a room someone was already staying in. Unfortunately, we unlocked the door to find a naked man.
Oh, no, it's like Moby Dick when Ishmael ends up with...
keep it daytime.
No, but you know, what's he called? Queequeg, is it? He ends up with him in his bed. They had to share it.
Okay, it's 10:08. Okay?
I think it's fine.
It's 10:08, Frank.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that we've been doing this show 12 years. That's the first time check we've ever.
That's how desperate I
God,
feel.
what next? Travel news?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm not keeping things blue like you.
What? In Moby Dick, he checks into this thing, and in the night,
Ali's done it again.
a harpooner arrives. I think is he called Queequeg, the guy in.
I don't want my name on this part of the show.
Oh, come on.
So, do you want to jump in?
Sure.
I know it's. I know they don't like it on Absolute when things get Melvillian, but I would like to. I think it's Queequeg, but I haven't.
Okay, that'll mean it'll be Quay.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so it's a good story though. Is there a culmination, or does it end with the naked man?
Well, I mean, how much more info do you want? I mean, the man was naked. Let's leave him there.
Yeah, I
if
agree.
Someone.
Not the first time I've said that.
Burst in on me and I was naked, I would reach for the shoehorn for modesty.
I'd reach for the iPhone.
Okay. Fair enough.
Take a picture.
So, there was a thing in the paper, as they say,
yes,
about neighbours.
Yes.
Now, this is interesting to me because I am the sort of neighbour, I certainly always was, who... I mean, they interview my neighbours on the news after the incident, and they're saying, you know, he's a quiet bloke, kept himself to himself. I'm kind of that bloke. But in recent times, I'd say since I've lived in the road I live in now, I've got more neighbours. I know more neighbours now in my street than I've ever... since I was a child, when neighbours was in and out your house. So I've gone through a slight alteration.
I know all of your neighbours. I mean, I can think of about 4 you're good friends with. 5, maybe 6.
Do you know your neighbours, though?
2 of them are lovely.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that.
There's a lot in the omission there, isn't there?
I'm going to take the 5th on that. But I did say I did have some charming neighbours who sadly have moved. I still keep in touch with them. I was such good friends with them, Mark and Joe, that Mark called me once.
Mark and Joe.
Oh, big shout out to them. Lovely. Lawyer, lovely. He said, I've got to go to a work Christmas party. I'm dressed as George Michael. Can you style my hair?
Well, there's an example then of a celebrity that you could go to a party.
Yeah, it's very easy with
If Mark and Joe had put a cardboard box full of stuff outside their house, what would it have been?
Oh, it would have been fragrant.
Ah.
It would have been immaculate.
Really?
There would have been some lovely stuff in there. There would have been maybe some legal...
Maybe an old copy of Diary of Edwardian Country Lady.
Some shredded legal documents.
Oh, God, I love that. It's great for a bit if you're sending anything back to Amazon for packing. Yes. Okay.
What are your... But you like your neighbours, don't you?
Yes, well, I'll tell you. Like I say, it's a thing that when I was a kid, everybody knew everybody, but then everyone says, "Oh, in London, you don't talk to neighbours in London, don't they?" And that was true for a bit, but I've changed.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're having a lot of love, can I say briefly, for Kath's cake, which has gone up on Twitter. That is amazing. Says Reed. Benny says, brilliant. Do you think she could do one for my birthday on Friday, or is it too short notice?
You notice she went for a black ribbon.
Yeah.
as well for Cooperian authenticity.
Love it.
Yeah, nice.
So we were discussing neighbours, and we should say this is based on this survey that's come out this week, hasn't it? Saying so British people typically know at least 5 neighbours by name. 23% would go to a neighbour for advice before going to a friend.
Sadly, it doesn't give the information that I really want to know, which is how many British people loathe a small percentage of their neighbours. Like, is there one household that
don't know what you mean,
like
Alan.
across the road? Or yeah,
You see,
I want to know that.
When I grew up, it was literally this thing of being in and out of each other's houses. You know what I mean? So the old lady from next door would come in, and she would just turn up, sit down, and would stay for like 3 hours. And there wouldn't be a big. She'd get a cup of tea, but she would just be like part of the family, and then go off. I remember, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but she arrived once with their alarm clock and said to my dad, can you do anything with this? We can't get it to work now. And she put it on the kitchen table, and halfway up the face of the alarm clock was urine. And like some terrible urinary eclipse. And she dropped it.
That certainly escalated.
She dropped it into their bedroom implement, and the cup. But I remember my dad going, "Get off the table! Get it off the kitchen! We eat off that." And he was one of these blokes who could mend anything, my dad, but he would not go for the half urine alarm clock. So he told me to take
rubber gloves or something.
I'm with your dad.
Yeah. I think
you got to have rules.
And it's not often I say that.
I think she thought he was being unreasonable. But no, so poor old lady had to take that back with her. I don't know what happened to her, but I don't think her husband wouldn't have mended it, I don't think. So that's a little insight into what neighbours were like.
Interesting anecdote.
You see, I think it also said the favourite topics of conversation are the weather, bin collection and a pet.
Okay.
That depends on your neighbours.
Collection gets a lot of chat, doesn't it?
Yeah, but not if you live next door to Ernest Hemingway. He's got other topics.
Well, I back in Birmingham, I remember the only chat about the weather was an old geezer down the road who said to me the weather hadn't been as good since man had landed on the moon.
Something you'd say, Frank.
That's the only
favourite new conspiracy theory.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Al and Frank, Roger Turner has tweeted us regarding the conspiracy theorist you encountered, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
I had a similar experience to Frank in the 60s, standing at a bus stop in the rain when the elderly lady next to me announced that the bad weather was down to that Sputnik thing.
There you go. There you go.
Most readers, will of course be too young to know of Sputnik.
What about? I knew a woman who she worked a little bit in telly, sort of bits and scraps of things, and then she did I think it was a 2-week course in meteorology, and decided she was going to go to America to become a weather. They still call them weather girls. They can't call them that anymore.
Is it a meteorologist?
That's not. But a weather person,
presenter,
and and I know when she filled in her. You have to fill in a visa and that to move, and it said occupation. She wrote scientist based on the 2-week thing, but I think she did become a weather.
What was it, Jason McAteer, left back, position, left back?
Well, how qualified are weather men and women? 8, 12, 15?
That's a good question.
I just wondered, are they just presenters, or do they actually know about... Do they have to study meteorology?
I think it depends on the presenter.
Okay. What about the Spits and Spots man? Do you remember him?
No.
Yes,
Who's
yeah.
that?
He was a guy he used to live near me, and when me and Dave lived together, he used to live nearby, and he was called the Spits and Spots man. That was his catchphrase.
Oh, I don't know.
Quite a handsome man. I think he was what's known as a heartthrob, which
Really?
you'd think could be some sort of illness.
Can we also share with the group Helen Gredal, talking of sort of customer service type things? Amazon driver dismantled the stone wall in my front garden.
What?
In order to build a small shelter for my package.
What?
Wow.
Some sort of Stonehenge for the package.
I suppose care for the package is... that's actually the title of my new men's health book.
I mean, Al, what do we do at this point?
Oh, no. But that shows he cared for what he was delivering more than he did for the actual natural structures.
Yeah. I mean, people will be looking at that sculpture in several thousand years. Thinking,
I wonder what that housed.
Helen does finish. There's an end to this story.
Okay.
Unlike the naked man, there's an end.
Okay.
I did get a £150 voucher for it, though. So both worst and best. I'm assuming Helen complained about the unasked for stone restructuring of her wall.
Yeah.
Can I say, I love that he built the shelter.
Yeah.
He didn't just back into the wall and think, no, I've created that natural alcove.
Or do what mine does, which is say they'll write, stored it behind the bins on bin day.
Yeah.
I've had all manner of
difficult.
product end up in the bin.
I tell you what I love though, one of the few pluses of the whole lockdown experience is not having to sign for stuff. Just there.
Oh, yeah.
You get delivery, you go up and it's just there on the step. Oh, lovely. Lovely.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We were discussing neighbours and the survey that says that people know 5 of their neighbours' names. I think I know more than that. But I have a little mental heuristic where I divvy up my neighbours into those that are a laugh and those that I just say hello to. Or actually there's a third category, some that I used to say hello to but I no longer speak to.
Can I ask a question?
I don't like them.
What is a heuristic?
I think it's like a way of remembering things, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Like
I mean, I might have just misused the word.
No, I'm not. I'm not
It's
pulling you
very
up.
likely.
I honestly don't know what it means. Right?
Yeah, you see, it's interesting because I would say in your street, Frank, being familiar, I won't name names, but you are very blessed. You have some fabulous neighbours, and there is a Ramsey Street vibe. I see you as the sort
Is
of
there?
Helen. Yeah, I see Frank as the sort of, if we're going on the neighbours theme, sort of Helen Daniels.
Yeah, I don't know if
figure
I've got the downturned mouth. That she
David Baddiel is the what's his sort of Joe Mangle figure, perhaps, or was getting into
Bouncer.
scrapes.
More like bouncer.
Harold, maybe.
Yeah. Who's Charlene?
Oh, that would be Kath.
Well, I couldn't possibly answer. You see, I think this is very much down to my partner, Kath. If you can imagine a sort of fairground attraction that was the incredible Gittish man, but with a very winning, persuasive person on the front door bringing them in to look at them. That's who. Because
that's how they trap them. They put Kath to get them in, and then they then descend into the lair.
If I hadn't met Kath, I would be staying in a lot watching Doctor Who and sport. I mean, that would be me.
You still do that quite a lot.
Yeah, but even more.
When did you last watch Doctor Who, Frank?
Not Thursday night.
No.
Dry
spell.
Episodes 3 and 4 of Terminus. If you anyone out there is interested.
Oh, Thursday night.
Which included Lisa Goddard in the guest.
Oh, was she married to Alvin Stardust?
I don't know if she was then, but he wasn't mentioned in the episode of this.
So, Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's quite recent.
I mean, it's quite recent.
Well, I have an early night on a Friday, you see, because of
all the
having to get
excitement
up,
from
have to get up
watching
early.
Terminus.
I watch Doctor Who, I would say, 6 nights a week.
Are you absolutely joking?
No.
But how many?
No, I think he's serious.
No, I'm serious. I would normally, if I'm a bit tired, I'll just watch one episode. But generally,
that's enough to make you tired.
Generally, 2
It's enough
episodes.
to send you to sleep. No, but Frank, what? I mean, you've seen all these before. How many episodes?
It's not about. I mean, when you haven't seen an episode for 2, 3 years, you can't. I remember bits, but not most of it, certainly.
But presumably, do you do that? Is it like Rocky Horror Experience?
This has really become now, hasn't it?
Sorry,
I've met my therapist.
No, but is it like...
You asked me this question.
Sorry. But when you're sort of watching it, is it a Rocky Horror Experience? So you're saying under your breath, citizens of Gallifrey...
No, well, I watch it. I watch it alone. Often I'm just on my phone.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can honestly say I love it.
I know you do.
I don't even think, better.
Nice.
I mean, there is never, when you get some episodes that are less good, but even those, I still...
Oh, take that back.
I know, well, I'm not going to name names. As most of them are dead, it wouldn't really matter. But anyway, yeah, and you sort of think, I forgot Lisa Goddard was in this. So, yeah. But as you asked, that is the answer.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I have a question on neighbours. What's the boundary for a neighbour? Like, if my mate lives like 3 miles away, can I give him a shout out as a neighbour of mine?
Oh, I don't think. I think they've got to be in your road.
Oh, okay.
That's my. But
It's
I mean,
just
that's
that
my own. I say the boundary
never
for a
done
neighbour is don't bring in an alarm clock half full of urine and put it on the kitchen table.
Yeah, that was a boundary.
That's crossing the boundary.
I've never done a shout out on the show, but I would like to. My mate Leroy has won a Pride of Manchester section of the Pride of Britain awards thing because he genuinely saved a girl's life. He swam into the sea and rescued her. And nearly drowned himself. So I've never done this, but I wanted to shout out to Leroy.
I think that's fair enough. Well done, Leroy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Leroy, that is amazing. But have you ever reconstructed a wall and turned it into a shelter for packages?
No, see, where is that guy's award?
I mean, I'm just saying, we're all doing our bit.
There's a fabulous Laurel and Hardy film where Mae Bush, the actress who worked a lot with them, she jumps in the river to end it all, and they rescue her. And she says, well, you're responsible for me now. You've got to give me a flat and
that's what I'd say.
All that kind of stuff. So
it's exactly what I'd do.
If I was Leroy, I might change a few numbers.
Be more careful.
Yeah, exactly.
Lovely.
Here's a question.
Take on it there from Frank Skinner.
Some people on our street who are friends and neighbours have also been camping together, and I've been on it once. But if memory serves, we didn't set up the tents in the same geometry and formation as the houses, which seems like a missed opportunity, doesn't it?
That is a shame, yeah. You see, if I was just standing at the bus stop with neighbours, I'd want us to be in the same order as our houses.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's not just me that thinks like this.
Did the Beatles... I was watching the Beatles last night, and am I right?
Review.
Am I right in saying...
Apparently they're really good.
Yeah, I like them. And those haircuts.
Yeah.
Was it always... from left to right, George, Paul, John, and then back row, Ringo?
Oh, did they have an Ant and Dec system?
I'd only noticed it towards the end of the film, so I don't know if they were all... I think the Beatles were basically... What made them great was Paul McCartney being left-handed, because for me the moment that lives is when him and George, and sometimes him and John, sing into the same microphone. There's something very intimate and lovely about it, and that would have been
like
really
a butterfly picture or something, isn't it?
Yeah, but that would have been very difficult if Paul had had been right-handed. There'd have been too much neck and string and that in the way. So it's little things that...
and possibly in rehearsal they tried it the other way around and it was like dueling banjos, like a sword fight with the guitars.
Can I ask one last question, by the way?
Yeah.
I just saw that we have to have the TV news on mute in case there's a terrible, enormous news story that we have to go to our people for.
Can't imagine that happening.
No, and then Fergal Sharkey, the former Undertones person, appeared on.
The former Undertones person?
Yeah. And
the lead singer.
he was captioned Fergal Sharkey, Commissioner, Salmon and Trout Association. Now, I'm all for retraining, but is this a case of nominal determinism that Fergal Sharkey is working with the salmon and trout? Yeah, it's the fish world. Him and Nicola Sturgeon were talking about... she wasn't any, but that is the summer going on there.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway...
I think he might also play bass.
Oh.
It's a bit laboured.
No, I liked it. I don't think you should have said bass after. I think you should have left us, trusted us.
Right.
Trusted us with it. But, I'm being picky. So look, don't forget the latest episode of my poetry podcast is out this Wednesday. It'll be up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's available wherever you usually get your podcast. That's what you have to say.
Robert Frost, was that the last?
Robert Frost was the last one. A poem about a man who burnt down his own farmhouse in order to spend the insurance money on a telescope. Check it out.
Legend.
Okay, so if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.